Greetings, Ian from RTO here. Welcome to another album ranking, and this one is a viewer's request. Can't remember who actually asked for them, but it's a good band anyway. And the band we're talking about today are Iron Butterfly. Iron Butterfly were formed in 1966 in California. The original members were Doug Ingle on the vocals, Jack Pinney on drums, Greg Willis on bass, and Danny Weiss on guitar. The group soon were joined by vocalist and tambourine player, which I think is funny, Daryl McLoach, and his parents' garage serves as a site for their nightly rehearsals. Their music has found a significant impact on the international rock scene, influencing numerous acts such as Black Sabbath, AC/DC, Rush, Alice Cooper, Mountain, Uriah Heep, Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots, and Queens of the Stone Age. So they've influenced a lot of people. But they are a great band. I really like Iron Butterfly. They've released some really good albums, and they've released albums that are not as good as the originals, but in the whole they are a really good band, and they certainly need some love. And they released 6 studio albums. So coming in at number 6, we have the 6th and final album, released in 1975, and it's called Sun and Steel. Now, the band at the time were Eric Brand on guitars, Ron Bushy on drums, Bill DeMartins on keyboards and vocals, and Philip Taylor Kramer on bass and vocals. So the first track on this one is Sun and Steel, which is the title track. Pretty good. I like this. I love the guitar work here from Eric. It's one of my favourite songs on the album. Really good start. Then we get a track called Lightning. Some nice keyboard to it. It's okay. It's a solid track. A little bit too funky for me, but it's listenable. It's a track that you don't have to skip. Then we get Beyond the Milky Way. Not so keen on this. This is a little bit off what I'm used to listening to with Iron Butterfly. It was more poppy, I think, not just what I wanted. Then we get Free. Now this one again, it's totally gone away from the psychedelic rock that that you know from the Iron Butterfly. It's more of a funky rock, and I'm not quite keen on it. Then we get my favourite track. Now I can't remember, I don't know how I'll pronounce this. Sion. The guitar riffs on here from Eric are brilliant. That organ sounds absolutely crisp, sounds brilliant, really strong track. And then we get It Out. Now this is solid enough. It's not the best, but it's listenable and it's not too bad. Then we get I'm Right, I'm Wrong. I don't mind this one. It is a little bit flat in places, but it's got a nice hook to it. Then we get Watch the World Going By. This is my second favourite track on this album. I love the start of this, and then you get this gradual sound coming, the keyboard sound. Great on this. Terrific track. Scorching Beauty. It's the best guitar solo with from Eric on this. It really does make the song stand out. If it weren't for that guitar solo, I don't think it'd be as good. Okay, I like this album. It's really strong, but you can tell it was the beginning of the end. It is a good album, don't get me wrong. I've got no problem with it, but all good things come to an end. But I'm going to still give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we have another album from 1975. This one was done in the January, as Sun and Steel come out in the October, and that is Scorching Beauty. So it's this. We've got Eric Brann on guitars, Ron Bushy on the drums, Phil Taylor Kramer on bass, Howard Renetz on keyboards. So they changed keyboard players between the first and the fifth and sixth album, and they've got a guest musician, Mr. John Anderson, who does vocals on Pearly Gates. So the first track on here is called 1975 Overture. This is an interesting track. I love the gentle keyboards on this, and the high pitched keyboard comes in as well. You've got everything on here. It's a really strong track. Hard Misery, great little rock track. I love the bass farm from Philip here. Some dirty guitars from Eric. It's just a great little rock track. High on a Mountain Top. Again, the guitar work is brilliant. It's a lovely arrangement. It's just a really good track. I Am Down. Love Ron's drumming on this. Solid drums. The riffs are good. Very Mark Boland in places. Very good track. People of the World. Solid track. Guitar from Eric. Solid. Like the riffs on this. Different sort of effects on the guitars as well. Searching Circles starts off with a lovely Hammond organ. You know my love of Hammond organ. Very Uriah Heep start to this. That's probably why I like it. And a great guitar solo from Eric. So you can't go wrong. Then we get Pearly Gates. Now this is co-wrote by Jan Iterson. I love this. You can hear that wonderful John Anderson backing vocal. It just makes this track a fantastic track. Very, you know, it's a Yes style track with John Anderson working on it. Lonely Hearts, a bright little rocker, a bit of 12-bar boogie. Nothing wrong with a bit of 12-bar boogie. Before You Go, I've never been keen on this song. Probably the weakest track on the album. A good album. I think this one's just a tad better than the last one though. It's very solid. It's got some great tunes on it. It's a good little rocker. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 4, we go to 1969 now, way back. It's the third album, and it's Ball. So on here we've got Eric Brann on guitars, Doug Ingle on the lead vocals, Lee Dorman on the bass, Ron Bushy on the drums. First track we get is In the Times of Our Lives. Very psychedelic. Love the keyboards in this. It's just put on and just let it go, as they say. It's a great track. Soul Experience. Love Lee Dorman's bass line. Sort of gels the song. Ron's drumming is great. Good track. Lonely Boy. Again, I love this song. I love the keyboards, the organ from Doug. One of my favourite tracks, and it's a great vocal from Doug. Real Fright. The drumming from Ron in this is terrific. And you got a great. The engine room really is tight in this with Lee's bass line. It really drives the song along. Just like the next track, In the Crowds, that bass line from Lee is certainly the driving force of the song. Some nice guitar work into play, and with the keyboards, a really good track. Then we get It Must Be Love, one of my favourite tracks. I love that quirky keyboard sound on this one. It's very, very good. Her favourite style. This reminds me of so much of Jethro Tull without the flute. It's the way the song is structured. You're half expecting Ian Anderson to come on the flute, and that's a really good song. Filled with Fear. The bass line again is great. Sound effects, very psychedelic. It's just a terrific track. Then we get my favourite track, and this is probably one of my favourite tracks by Iron Butterfly. It's called Belle the Beast, and it's a live track ish. I like it because it's got a lot of elements of progressive rock, and it does sound like it's live. I don't know if it's the echo, but it's some great guitar work. Another really good album. They were very consistent. Great songs on this. This is just a great chill out album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay then, coming in at number 3 we have the debut from 1968 called Heavy. It's got Ron Bushy on the drums, Daryl LeLoach on tambourine and vocals, Doug Ingle on organ and vocals, Jerry Penrod on the bass, and Danny Weiss on guitar. First track, Possession, really progressive. Danny's guitar work is great. It reminds me a little bit of Love Cream with that blues sort of sound and the harmonising vocal. Excellent. Unconscious Power, great little rock track. The interplay between Doug and Danny is fantastic. They really play well off each other on that track. Get Out of My Life, Woman. This is a cross between a lot of the American bands at the time. It's got a bit of Doors in there, it's got a bit of Loving Spoonful, it's got that real vibey 60s sound to it. It's a great track. Gentle As It May Seem, short, sharp 60s pop track. Great guitar work from Danny. It's a terrific track. You Can't Win, great bass line here. Sort of drives the song from Jerry. It's just one of them songs that you listen to it within 10 seconds you're hooked. Great track. Then we get Solo. This is quite funny. It's a bit of a 60s pop mixed with psychedelic. Not the best track on the album. Yeah, a bit experimental. I don't know what they were experimenting in, but it's quite experimental, that is. Look for the Sun, a really nice song. I love the guitar from Danny on this. And then you get this riff comes in as well. It's really good. Fields of Sun, another interesting track to say the least. Some great drumming from Ron on it though. Stamped Ideas. Now this is a very short little track with some keyboard from Doug and a great little guitar solo from Danny. Then we get my favourite track on there, and it's just called the Iron Butterfly Theme. It's an instrumental, but boy is it good. It's got all that elements of prog, psychedelia, all thrown into one little track. Excellent track to end the album. A very underrated debut album, I think. It's got some killer tracks on here. But there are some oddments on there, but it's all part of this great album, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay then, coming in at number 2 we go to the 4th album from 1970, and it's Metamorphosis. So the band at the time are Ron Bushy on drums, Lee Dorman on bass guitar, Doug Ingle on the organ and vocals, Mike Pinner on guitar and vocals, and Larry Reinhardt on the guitar. Additional, we've got Richard Poldor on sitar and 12 strings as well, and Bill Cooper on a 12-string guitar. First track is a 40-second little atmospheric instrumental thing called Free Flight. 40 seconds, not much, but it goes straight into New Day. The interplay between Lee and Mike on this is brilliant. The bass and the guitar are sort of talking to each other. Brilliant. Then we get a track called Shady Lady, nothing to do with Status Quo, of course. It's great. It's a bit of reggae thrown in there, psychedelic, funky reggae. Really good track. The Best Years of Our Lives. Ron's drumming's good. He's such a good drummer. it's not particularly one of my favourite tracks, unfortunately. I like the acoustic guitars, but it's sort of a bit flat in places. Then we get Stone Believer. I do love the organs in this. Rich, great guitar, solid track. Then we get a track called Soldier in Our Town. Ambient, atmospheric. The guitar's got a lovely tone to it. The organ just holds the track together. It's brilliant. Then we get Easy Rider, Let the Wind Pay the Way. Love this track. Very basic, rocker, incredible Hammond organ on it, brilliant. Then we get Butterfly Blur. Now, this is my second favourite track by Iron Butterfly. It's got some amazing playing on this by everybody. They all contribute on this. You got some stunning guitar works. Doug's keyboards are just fantastic. You got some fantastic drumming from Ron again. It's just an amazing track. Great way to end the album. Very solid album. There's not much between the top two albums, to be quite honest. There's some great playing, especially on Butterfly Blue. I'll play this album a lot, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. So, my number one. It's an album we've actually featured on a classic album a little while back, and that's the second album from 1968, and it's In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Had to be, didn't it? On here is Ron Bushy, Lee Dorman, Doug Ingle, and the first track you get on this is Most of Anything You Want. Definitely one of those 60s sort of groove, 60s guitar. The keyboards, it's just so groovy, laid back, chill out, excellent track. Then we get Flowers and Beads. Oh dear, it's so psychedelic, sitting round in circles and hey man, all that sort of thing. It's just got that cream feel to it again. It's a great little 60s pop song. I love it. My Mirage, probably some of Lee Dorman's best bass playing. Very intricate, very groovy as well. It's got that real great psychedelic feel to this one. Termination, the riff is brilliant. The vocal from Doug is absolutely amazing. It's just one of them tracks that you can just float away on. Then we get Are You Happy? Ron's drumming is brilliant. It's brilliant. You got Eric's great guitar work on that. Very proggy psychedelic sound, which is brilliant. And then we get the greatest song they ever put together, and it's the one they're really known for, is of course the title track, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. The start of this is lovely. It's that keyboard sound that dominates the first part, that heavy sound, great vocal from Doug. Then halfway through we get the drum solo that rumbles along. I don't know if I'll run a really weird drum solos, but for some reason it works, and then all of a sudden it goes back into a little bit more laid back drums and the organ. I do like the last piece. That guitar from Eric is so rich. And the bass from Lee is terrific all the way through. He keeps it going. This is definitely my favourite track. I think this was quite a ground-breaking album. It's that mixture of psychedelia and prog fusion. This album was a bit of ahead of itself, and not many people were doing 17-minute songs back in the 60s. It's a fantastic album. I'll play this one to death, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So there we go, bit of psychedelia prog 60s sound. They're a great band, very underrated band, but a very important band in my opinion. Okay, that's all for this one. Retro rankings up next, and today is a very special one because Sunday, apart from being the 2nd anniversary of RTO, it's all so 25 years since the passing of the great Frank Sinatra. So Dave and I thought we would come up with a Frank Sinatra top 10 just to celebrate what a great singer, and he recorded some great tunes. So I'm going to go through my top 10 Frank songs. Hope he approves. Okay, I'll be back for that later. Bye for now.